Welcome ladies and gentlemen to our channel. Today we will tell you about the wonderful actress Marilyn Monroe. We hope you will appreciate our work. Don't forget to subscribe and here we go. Marilyn Monroe is one of the most famous actresses in Hollywood history, a sex symbol of the 50s. She would have turned 90 years old in 2016. Photo of Marilyn Monroe in her youth, then she had dark hair. The actress' real name is Norma Jean Mortensen. She was born on June 1, 1926 in Los Angeles, USA. A photo of Marilyn as a young woman. The girl's childhood was very difficult, her father's death in an asylum, violence, changing different families and sending her mother to an asylum. Marilyn got through it. When Norma was 16, her next foster family was preparing to move and had no way to take the girl with them. She was offered either to go to an orphanage or to marry James Doherty, a 21-year-old laborer whom Norma was then dating. The girl chose marriage. They married in 1942. As Monroe later admitted, this marriage was a mistake. She had nothing to talk about with her husband. She was dying of boredom. Doherty was also uncomfortable in this marriage, so in 1943 he enlisted in the Navy. Service was in the Pacific. In the absence of her husband, Norma went to work at an aircraft factory, where she was noticed by photographer David Conover, who suggested that she become a model. As he later confessed, there was more than just a professional relationship between them. Norma left her job at the factory and joined a modeling agency, changing her image. She straightened her curly dark hair and became a blonde. She appeared on the covers of dozens of issues of various magazines. Some photos from her early modeling career. Eventually Norma was spotted in Hollywood. She was offered to become an actress. In 1946 she signed her first contract with a film studio, divorced her husband and changed her name to the creative pseudonym Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe's first major role. The Choristers, 1948. In 1948 Monroe met Hollywood agent Johnny Hyde. Hyde was 31 years older than Monroe, but they had an affair. Hyde gave her money for plastic surgery on her jaw and convinced the 20th Century Fox film studio to sign her to a 7-year contract. Marilyn Monroe in Asphalt Jungle, 1950. Marilyn Monroe in Hometown, 1951. Filming in the roles that exploited only her appearance, and not satisfied with this, Monroe began to take acting lessons. After that, Marilyn began to give roles that require a greater degree of acting skills. In 1951, Marilyn Monroe was the host of Oscar. And in 1952 she starred in the movie We're Not Married. In 1953 Monroe plays the leading role in the film noir Niagara. With this film, which the Women's Clubs of America condemned as immoral, begins the assertion of Monroe as one of the main stars of Hollywood. In the same year comes the comedy Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, where Monroe played a couple with another sex symbol of the time, actress Jane Russell. The film grossed twice as much at the box office as was spent on it. The most successful movie with Marilyn Monroe that year was the comedy How to Marry a Millionaire, starring Betty Grable and Lauren Bacall. The film grossed $8 million at the box office on a budget of $1.87 million. In early 1954, Marilyn gets married for the second time. This time her chosen one, the famous baseball player Joe DiMaggio. This marriage lasted only 9 months. The husband was terribly jealous of Marilyn and raised his hand at her. However, after the divorce, they maintained a good relationship. One of the scenes in the film, where the airflow from the ventilation system lifts the pleated skirt of the white dress, exposing the heroine's legs, made Marilyn Monroe a major sex symbol of her time. The dress the actress wore at the time is now one of the most expensive dresses in the world. In 2011, it was sold at auction for $4.6 million. In 1956, Monroe remarried. Her third husband was the playwright and novelist Arthur Miller. He was Jewish, so Marilyn Monroe converted to Judaism. After that, Egypt banned the distribution of her films. Marilyn Monroe on the set of The Prince and the Dancer, 1957. Marilyn took a year-and-a-half break from filming to have a baby. But suffering from endometriosis, the actress could not do it. The pregnancy turned out to be ectopic. Her next film was a 1959 comedy, Some Like It Hot. Filming was terrible. Monroe could be 9 hours late, could not remember the remarks of only a few words, and actor Tony Curtis, exhausted by endless takes, admitted, in the 40th time to kiss Monroe, like kissing the wall. In the Hollywood lobby began to talk that she went crazy, like her mother. However, the film eventually became the most successful in the career of Marilyn Monroe. It brought in $14 million at the box office, and the actress for the role Dasheka received a Golden Globe. Marilyn Monroe in Only Girls in Jazz. Marilyn Monroe in Let's Make Love, 1960. Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable in The Misfits, 1961. The health of Monroe, who was constantly on pills, was compromised. Her famous hair looked like a bundle of straw, so she was forced to wear a wig on set. Her makeup artist would start working on her early in the morning when she was lying in bed, lethargic, almost comatose. Under the terms of the contract, Monroe was to star in another film, but the comedy, Something Must Happen, was not finished, because Monroe was just not able to shoot. For 32 days she appeared on the set 12 times, with it was filmed only 7.5 minutes of suitable material for editing. On the night of August 4 to 5, 1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead with a telephone receiver in her hand in her own home. By the bed was an empty package of sleeping pills. 14 other vials of drugs and pills were on the bedside table. Monroe left no suicide note. After the autopsy, it was announced that Marilyn Monroe died of an overdose of sleeping pills. The bonus photo. Some photos from the life of a beautiful actress and girl who will be remembered for her stunning roles and beautiful smile. Marilyn Monroe. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the end of our show. I hope you are impressed. See you again.